This podcast is sponsored by the book, The Biased Brain, by Bo Bennett, PhD. Dive into the world of cognitive biases and transform your understanding of reality. Get your copy today at thebiasedbrain.com.
Empathy-Altruism theory explained understanding why we help others despite our biased brain. Discover the Empathy-Altruism theory and why genuine empathy drives altruistic behavior, even when cognitive biases influence our decisions. Understanding empathy, altruism theory, why we really help others. Hey, have you ever wondered why people sometimes go out of their way to help others, even when there's no obvious benefit to themselves? Like, think about the person who donates anonymously, helps a stranger in need, or volunteers at a shelter purely out of the kindness of their heart. What's behind that? Well, today I want to chat about something called the Empathy-Altruism theory, a fascinating idea in psychology that really helps explain why humans help one another beyond selfish motives. So here's the basic gist. The Empathy-Altruism theory was first proposed by psychologist C. Daniel Batson back in the 80s, and it suggests that when we feel empathy towards someone, meaning we genuinely understand or share in their feelings, we are motivated to help them purely out of concern for their well-being. This means the motivation to help is truly altruistic, not just a way to make ourselves feel better or gain some social reward. It might sound straightforward, but it actually sparked a lot of debate because it challenges another big idea called the egoistic motivation theory. That older theory basically argues that people only help others because they expect some kind of benefit, whether it's reducing their own guilt, gaining approval, or avoiding punishment. Empathy versus selfish motives, what's the difference? Imagine you see someone drowning. You jump in to save them because you feel like you need to be a hero, or because you're worried about what people will think if you don't help. That would be an example of egoistic motivation. You're helping to benefit yourself in some way. But if you're helping because you can genuinely imagine how terrified and vulnerable that person must feel, and your only concern is their safety, well, that's empathy at work. This is what Batson's theory highlights, that empathy creates a true other-centered motivation to help. What I find really cool is that this theory also connects to human cognition and how we process social information. When we empathize, our brains don't just react on autopilot. They engage in something like a mental simulation where we step into another's shoes. This shows a sharp contrast to the biased brain tendencies we usually talk about, like how cognitive biases can twist how we see things or cause us to make unfair judgments. How this fits with understanding cognitive biases. Speaking of biases, you might be wondering how empathy and altruism stack up against all these cognitive biases our brain tends to carry. Interestingly, empathy can sometimes help override certain biases, like the tendency to favor people who are similar to us, because it encourages seeing the world through another person's perspective, even if they're different from us. But empathy isn't flawless. For example, our brain's natural bias in decision-making might mean we feel more empathy for someone who looks or acts like us, or who shares our background over someone else. So learned awareness and critical thinking and biases are important. Recognizing when our empathy is biased helps us become more genuinely altruistic by expanding our circle of care beyond just immediate connections. Why should you care about empathy-altruism? On a practical level, understanding empathy and altruism can change how we approach life, relationships, and even work. Whether you're managing a team, raising kids, or just trying to be a better neighbor, knowing that empathy drives genuine concern can shift your mindset. It also encourages us to foster empathy in ourselves and others, which can build stronger, more compassionate communities. For those curious about how our brains shape these behaviors and how biases play a role, there's a book I definitely recommend, The Biased Brain, by Bo Bennett, PhD. This book explores the quirks and biases built into human cognition that shape everything from our daily decisions to how we respond emotionally. It's a great resource if you want to sharpen your critical thinking and biases awareness, understand cognitive biases, and ultimately improve your interactions with others. So if you find the whole idea of why people act kindly or selfishly intriguing, or if you want to better recognize when your brain is steering you off course, explore the book and unravel the secrets of your mind today. It's an awesome way to get into the nitty-gritty of the biased brain and human nature. Alright, that's the scoop on the empathy-altruism theory. Next time you find yourself lending a hand or just feeling for someone, maybe pause to think about whether it's empathy or some other motive and how your own brain's biases might be colouring that feeling. Understanding that can really shift how we live and connect with the world around us. Thanks for hanging out and chatting about this super interesting slice of psychology. Catch you next time.